Hi, Joe here from Shutter Speak Photography. Very nice to see your smiling face again here on YouTube. Hey, so if you are here in the US like me, you know that today was the start of daylight savings time. So we spring ahead 1 hour. And today is the day that you should be updating the clock on your Nikon Z camera. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. We're going to start off with the Z9, and I'll explain to you why I'm starting off with the Z9, and then I'm going to show you the same procedure on a regular Z, Z6 II, Z7, Z7 II, Z5. It should pretty much all be the same. But again, I'm going to start with the Z9 for a reason. Hey, happy to see you here. If anything in this video helps you out, please help me out by hitting subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified of future updates to this channel. And hey, let's get started. Okay, so I am in the menu system of my Nikon Z9 camera, and I'm in the setup menu, which you see is the wrench right there. Okay, once you get down to the wrench in setup menu, your third option is time zone and date. So let me run through that with you. Just direction pad over to the right. You'll get the sub menu, and your first option is time zone, and I'm in New York, Toronto, Lima, which is the correct time zone for me. But you'll see that the clock is incorrect. That is an hour off. It is actually 10:23, and you'll see that this is actually filmed out of order. So later in the video, you're going to see me fixing time on the camera, and it's going to be earlier in the morning, not later, but don't worry about that. So, at any rate, click the right direction pad, and you can change your time zone. Scroll on down to date and time, right direction pad over to that, and you can manually change the time, but don't do that. We don't want to do that because we have this option here, which I'll show you in a second. So date format, of course, is obvious. You can change that to your local date format of choice. And then here we have daylight savings time. So now in the United States, we have just moved to daylight savings time. So a lot of people get this confused. They think that the winter is daylight savings time, but it's not. I'm in Eastern time, so the winter is Eastern Standard Time, and now we are in Eastern Daylight Time. So the summer is actually daylight savings time. So we spring ahead 1 hour, right? So fall behind, spring ahead. We're springing ahead 1 hour, and that is Eastern Daylight Time. So all I need to do is click this to on. You'll see my clock has changed to 10:24, which now makes it correct. Okay, and I'm good to go. Now, if you already had this on and your clock said 9:24, you can't shut it off. That's not going to fix it. Okay, you basically, unfortunately, you had it set backwards. So in that case, you're going to have to go back up to date and time, go over to date and time, and then adjust the hour to the correct hour, and leave daylight savings time on. So once you do that, when daylight savings time ends in the fall, you'll be able to go back into the menu and shut it off, and your clock will bounce back to the correct date again. Okay, so that's how this works on the Z9. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is going to become clear in just a moment. Okay, so there's one other thing I wanted to show you on the Z9, and it's in your setup menu, the wrench. Scroll on down about 3/4 of the way until you see location data built in. If you right arrow on that with your direction pad, you will see this handy little feature, set clock from satellite. I recommend you have that on. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to use the GPS to get the correct time from satellites. This is great if you have multiple Z9s and you need all of them to have the clock synced correctly. And this is very important if you're shooting events, sports, things like that, because if you've shot events, you'll know that if you have two cameras and the time is out of sync, that means the order of events when you go back to review your images later is out of order, and that just makes finding images that you're looking for between multiple cameras much more difficult. And this the same applies if you have, say, a Z9 and a Z6 II, or a Z7 and a Z6, or whatever it might be. If you have more than one camera and you're shooting any events, weddings, sports, any kind of events, having time synchronized correctly between cameras is crucial. Now, you can't do this with any other camera than the Z9. The Z6 is, excuse me, sorry, the menu shut off there, timed out. Let's get that menu back. You can't do this with any other camera except the Z9 and the Z family. This location data built in, set clock from satellite. But this is why I'm showing you the Z9 first, because if you have a Z9 and you have a Z7 or whatever you might have, you're going to want to sync the time of that other camera to your Z9. Okay, so now I am in a Z6 II, and this should be the same on pretty much Z7, Z6 II, Z5, whatever you may have. You're going to go down to the setup menu, okay? And you're going to scroll down just a few till you get time zone and date. And the same thing, just use the direction pad, press it to the right. You'll see the option to change your time zone. You'll see the option to change your date and time. You'll see your date format and then daylight savings time again. Now, again, if it's on, that's the incorrect setting. Look at your time. If you have this on and your time is incorrect, you're going to have to go up to date and time and manually adjust it. But in my case, it's showing 9:08. It's actually 10:08. I just have to hit on, and I am now at 10:08, which is correct. So now I'm good to go. Again, if you had this already set on and your time was an hour behind, you need to go up to date and time, press the right directional arrow, and manually adjust your date and time. Now, what I want to do here, because I have a Z6 II and a Z9, is I'm going to sync my time to the Z9 time, since the Z9 is getting its time from satellites, and I do shoot events, so it is crucial for me to have accurate time on both cameras, because even being 2 or 3 minutes off shooting an event like a wedding, it puts images out of sequence, and that's just a little bit annoying when you go through them to edit and cull them later on. So I'm now going to sync mine with my Z9. I'm going to spare you that while I do it, but this is how you're going to set your time zone for daylight savings time. I hope this helps you, and if it has helped you out, please help me out by, like I said, hitting that subscribe button, ring the bell. Leave me a comment, because I pretty much always answer the majority of comments as best I can. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, YouTube, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.